I'm Glenn McGuinness, and this is Outburst. This week, are you optimistic about the year ahead?
So you kind of have to have optimism with a sense of doubt.
I'm feeling more optimistic compared to the year behind us.
I wouldn't say that I'm optimistic. I wouldn't say that I'm pessimistic.
The rollout could help make this go away quicker.
But first, as many of us anticipate getting our vaccine and leaving this pandemic behind once and for all, there's been some concern over vaccines. Over a dozen EU nations have suspended the use of the AstraZeneca vaccine after fears it caused blood clots. But the World Health Organization is still urging nations to use the vaccine. And the EU regulator says the vaccine is not linked to the overall rise in the threat of blood clots. And they added, the benefits still outweigh the risks. So, what do you think? Our question.
What concerns do you have about vaccines?
I guess I don't have any concerns about the vaccine rollout. I don't have many concerns about people wanting to get vaccinated. I have concerns, I guess, about whether people get a false sense of security from the vaccines. There's lots of information out there to suggest that you could still get infected. And I don't want people to think that once you're vaccinated, it's, a free-for-all, we're back to normal. That's not the case.
That we seem to be pushing out a vaccine that only has a 62% effective rate because we can't get the vaccines that we started with.
Well, I mean, like they're talking about the AstraZeneca being kind of somewhat dubious, I guess, with causing blood clots. But the thing is, like, they don't know if that blood clot would have happened in the general population with that degree anyway. So I don't know if the AstraZeneca is actually causing the blood clots or if it's just a natural part of their biology anyway.
I don't overly have any concerns. I guess you've been hearing stuff about that, I don't know, AstraZeneca or whatever it is. Although I did read yesterday that it sounds like there was nothing to be overly concerned about. So I'm kind of taking what they put out there in the news, and I can't say that I'm overly concerned about getting it or anything like that.
Not a lot. I don't think I have a lot of concerns. I want to make an educated decision as anybody else would, an informed decision. So, yeah, I don't think I have a lot. I think science is leading the way.
I think we don't have a lot of education on what it actually requires. I actually just got vaccinated on Wednesday, and I don't know anything about the second vaccination. There's different types of vaccines that are being rolled out, and we don't know which one is all-encompassing. So sometimes it's just having clear messages for those of us who are, receiving the vaccine.
I suppose I am a little bit worried about how much we're rushing them out. They've come very fast, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. We definitely need them. But the amount of planning and research on them is going to be less de facto than other vaccines we've had in the past that have been around for a long time. So that's my main concern, the fact that they're so new and so fresh, and we don't really know too much about them. I trust them, though.
Personally, I don't have very many concerns. The only real concern, I guess, that most people have is the side effects. And I think the speed at which the vaccines have come out are a concern for people. But, however, every year, technology gets better and better when it comes to vaccines, and we've had the whole world, the best minds in the world working on it. I'm confident. They've tested it. Long-term side effects, who knows? We'll never really know, but the alternative isn't good. So I'm taking it. Everybody should take it. And if you don't, that's your choice.
I'm personally just looking forward to getting my vaccine, I gotta say. Personally, I don't have that many concerns. That the blood clot thing is yet to be sort of fleshed out. I'm not completely concerned now.
Okay, and what about you?
Yeah, I personally believe I don't have as much say or knowledge as the experts do, so I just like to follow what they say, and hopefully I'll get my vaccine soon too.
Regarding the actual vaccines themselves, I have no concern about them. And I trust the science, and I will get vaccinated as soon as it's available for me. I just wish, of course, to get it sooner, as everybody feels, of course. But I trust the system, and I look forward to getting my shot.
I just think that they're kind of slow. I mean, if the U.S. can vaccinate 100 million people in less than 100 days, we've only got 38 million people in the whole country. So I'm just thinking, what's wrong?
I don't, it's a personal option, honestly. My children are not vaccinated. My entire family, when this quote-unquote COVID vaccine is available, will not be getting it. I don't trust that there's been enough research that they actually know what it's going to do in the future, because we don't. You can't inject a whole population with one vaccine and expect everyone to have the same outcome. It's not going to happen.
I don't really have any concerns. Actually, the only concern is when I'm getting mine, to be honest, and just the rollout, I guess. But the vaccines per se, I have no concerns in terms of efficacy and safety.
I have an illness that I'm contending with, and I'm kind of leery about the AstraZeneca because of clots. I suffer from an illness that I'm partial to clots. So will I take AstraZeneca? No. Would I take something else? Absolutely. I mean, they brainwashing everybody, or is it working? Seems to be working. It's hard to argue against that. If the vaccine was killing people, then I'd be concerned. I don't think it's killing people. I think it's saving multiple lives.
Yeah, I'm just not too certain about a lot of it, but I'll be getting mine. But you don't know what's down the road from them.
Well, I have concerns about whether the vaccines are safe or not, and I know that they've been put together really quickly, and most vaccines in the past have it's taken a long time to come up with the formula. So I do have concerns as to whether the vaccines are truly good for you in the long run, you know.
Scary.
I'm not
I don't
overly
know
concerned.
if it's worthwhile doing. It just could be making me sick. That's my concern.
I just don't think that there's that much to be afraid of. I really don't think so.
No, probably not. But
I would rather have a vaccine and be able to carry on with life.
As the weather gets a little bit friendlier in many parts of the country, it could be easier to have a more positive outlook as we move towards summer. So, after more than 1 year of the rules and regulations that go along with a pandemic and the rollout of vaccines around the world, are you more hopeful about the future? Our question.
Do you feel optimistic about the year ahead?
I'm feeling more optimistic compared to the year behind us. I think we have to have some optimism about what's going to happen and what changes are going to be made. And I think I'm looking forward to the new normal.
A lot of Canadians have lost business. A lot of people have lost jobs, homes. So I think there's only optimism left, really, because we're at the end of the day, where else can you go, really, but up, hopefully.
It's been a sad, say, 12 months since this time last year. And yes, I am optimistic. I believe that, I believe we have to be. I believe that's the only way that we can, appreciate what we have, enjoy where we live, and keep moving forward.
A little bit, yeah. I'm not a very optimistic person in general, so
we'll put you down as reserved.
Yes, I'll take that, yes.
Okay.
I'm optimistic, but I mean, I maybe being a little naive and thinking that everyone's going to buy into this. It's, it's hoping that everyone does. If everyone does, then we're going to be better off. But, there's going to be those naysayers and things that are going to say no. And so it's going to slow it. But I think I'm optimistic that something is going to happen right away. I don't know if it's going to be June or September like they're saying, but I think something's going to come along. But it's not going to be as fast as they're hoping it's going to be.
Yeah, I think it's going to take another year for us to get back to normal. But, I definitely feel optimistic about the future.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You think all this is going to go past us, and this time next year we're going to be good?
Why? Everything changes, right? Nothing stays the same. So this too shall pass.
Oh yeah, I feel absolutely optimistic, and it's definitely going to be history repeating itself again with the Roaring 20s type of thing, because everyone is so starved for getting together with their friends to go commute to work, to actually be in an office environment. Just a sense of normalcy. Like, we want to get to that as soon as possible, but it won't be a steady rise. It'll be an exponential jump in events, in dancing, in food culture, in all that kinds of thing. I'm so excited for culture, the social cultural impact that is about to come. I'm very excited for that.
I am feeling more optimistic than I did last year. I truly believe that the rollout could help make this go away quicker.
Okay, and what about you? Are you optimistic?
I think this current year is still going to see a lot of limitations in terms of just government placeholders and things like that. But at the same time, I think restrictions will be on their way to being lifted as more people get vaccinated and the government changes their restrictions, whatever that may be.
I understand that everyone wants to be out of the pandemic and we want to be done with it, but that's not coming for a while, and people need to kind of revalue their expectations on how wonderful and spectacular this summer is going to be with all of the vaccines.
Yeah, I do. I think things are going. I think we get the vaccines out, and people get vaccinated. I think the economy is just rearing to get started back up again, and people are really looking forward to getting back and living their life again. So, I tend to follow the sharp down but strong up once things are under control.
I've been in solitary confinement for a year now. I live alone, so. Yes, I'm very optimistic. Travel and let's do sports and let's do stuff.
Absolutely.
Why?
I think it's going to be a big party. And I mean that in terms of, people are looking forward to the future. They're seeing a light at the end of the tunnel. And I think often after, sad times come happy times. And I think people are feeling pretty positive.
The way things have been going, it's like you can't exactly predict. So you kind of have to have optimism with a sense of doubt that things might not go as planned. The new strains might come, all these factors. But I'm pretty optimistic. As a Canadian, I really hope for good things,
Totally optimistic. Totally optimistic. It's getting better and better and better. My kids are back in school. They're in school just 3 mornings a week or 2 mornings a week because they're in high school, both of them. But I've seen a great improvement just in going back to school a couple mornings a week. Their spirits are lifted. Having the vaccine, and that's going to be rolled out, hopefully by September. I think that's the prediction. But having that vaccine will be amazing. And I don't think certain things are going to go back to normal. We're going to have a new normal, but things are turning a positive corner, and we just have to stick it through.
I'm very much a realist, so I wouldn't say that I'm optimistic. I wouldn't say that I'm pessimistic. There's simply too many cards in the air at the moment. You've got the housing issues that are going on with houses selling for 50% more than they were listed for. Interest rates are still down. You really don't know what's going to happen next week, next month, going forward. I'm optimistic that things can't get much worse. But I don't want to be really quoted on that, because as soon as I say something can't get worse, it gets worse. So, yeah, I just jinxed it. I got to knock on wood now.
In what year did the Canadian $1 coin, or the loonie, enter circulation? 1981, 1987, or 1990? 81, 87, or 90?
1981?
87.
81, 87, or 90?
81.
I won't give you a right answer. 87?
I have to say 87 as well.
81?
I would say 1987. Maybe.
And you would be absolutely correct about that. Very good.
Thank you.
You got it right.
The $1 circulation coin was introduced in Canada in June of 1987. They were brought in as a cost-saving measure to replace the $1 bill. The final $1 bills were printed in June of 1989. The loon design was created by noted wildlife artist Robert Ralph Carmichael, and the coin was instantly dubbed the loonie. The nickname caught on, and the term loonie has become synonymous with the Canadian dollar to this day.
Like it or not, we could be in a national election campaign before you know it. With a federal budget soon to be released and a minority government in power roughly a year and a half now, odds are we'll be voting sooner than later. So when it comes to deciding at the ballot box, what are some of the things that could sway your vote one way or the other? Our question.
What must a political party do to win your support?
To maintain my support, I believe when it comes to a big incident like COVID, they have to equally consider how a virus like that could impact someone like you or someone in a completely different situation, equally, and accommodate to each person.
Sir.
And personally, my vote is going to depend on how the Conservative Party decides to handle the environment, because I know Aaron O'Toole tried to put a motion forth and it was sort of struck down by the party, so I'm definitely looking forward to see how they handle things and if they can become a tiny bit more progressive and maybe swing my vote that way.
We've spent money to get ourselves better through COVID, but at what expense? We can still be conscious and do the right thing, but we can still be frugal and look after people. Now, the homeless, the less fortunate, we need to take care of them because they are us.
It's very difficult, in my opinion, because I feel like this has been political from the get-go, whereas it shouldn't have been. So it's tough for me to say. I think it's a matter of everybody working together, and that's what I would want to see. Regardless if I'm left or right or what my opinions are, it's about what's best for Canadians, and whatever that might be could change depending on the situation.
Stimulate local economy. You know what I mean? Support small businesses. Help people get back on their feet. That's the most important thing right now, I think.
I'm very concerned with the treatment of Indigenous people, Muslim people, especially Black and Asian people, now that we've had such an increase in Asian hate crimes. And I think that, for a leader of a party to really win my vote, they need to be conscious and empathetic to minorities in such a vulnerable time.
I think for me, a number of things. Right now, public health is important. Policies that are to the benefit of the people are important. I care for the environment. I'd like to see continued. I say continued, but I think we're doing an okay job here in Canada compared to our neighbors down south. So I think what we're doing for the environment and continuing to do good things and kind of enhancing our policies in favor of the environment is really important for me personally. If we don't have a home to live in, what's the point of having this conversation?
There's so many things. I think in politics nowadays, we see people not being held accountable for their personal behavior. And we want to see politicians walking the walk. If you expect something of all your constituents and all the members of the Canadian public, you have to walk the walk. You can't be going on vacation in the middle of a pandemic to another country. It sounds fine. It sounds like fun, but it's just not responsible.
That those communication channels are open and that they're happening and that they're actually engaging with the public and having forums or town halls or whatever it is to make sure that even when they're elected, that those things that were of primary interest then are still current and prevalent now and are of the interest now. I mean, things are moving so fast, especially in this day and age in terms of information as well. And so I think it's really their job to make sure that they're doing what they were put there to do by the people.
Showing some maturity in the way they display themselves on social media, in person, in the House of Commons especially. There's just way too much fighting for political points instead of just being real and recognizing good ideas where they are. So, yeah, and I'm not seeing a lot of that lately from any party.
Well, they have to be honest to start with and speak the truth.
They have to show that they care about the people. And they can make mistakes, but they have to show that they care about the people and they're learning from their mistakes.
Well, they have to be responsible financially, and they have to be, fair with all Canadians and not prone to taking one point of view, particularly on a minority's point of view, and then acting as though it's the majority's opinion. I think they have to do a better job at representing all Canadians, looking after our finances and keeping everybody safe. And that includes, I think, on the medical side as well.
I think there's been some, little blips on the recent horizon in terms of the Liberal Party, but it comes down to me how they react and how they move forward, and I think they've been doing well on that front. So keep being transparent, keep the Canadian people at the front and center, and And I think we've got some real big challenges in terms of taxes in light of all the relief that's been offered. And so I think we have to really focus on the fiscal responsibility.
I'm an accountant, so I go for balanced budget. But, this is years ago when Paul Martin, the finance minister, and Chrétien was, and they did balance the budget and the country benefited. But so far I don't see any one of them doing that. So if there was somebody said, let's cut stuff right now and the future will be ours, I would go for them. But everybody wants to blow money. So
the way we're treating our seniors has obviously been something we've known it's been a problem, and it seems like every other government has dropped the ball on it. So I think that would be a huge thing for me.
Because it's the next generation that's going to be paying for all this debt. And so I look to my children and have concern for them. So I'd say the economy and the finances of our country is probably my biggest concern.
A third wave of COVID-19? Well, in some places, it's already happening. Here in Ontario, Canada's most populated province, provincial officials have already declared a third wave. And some European countries have extended or reintroduced lockdown measures because of contagious new variants. So while we wait and hope for the long-term effects of the vaccine to kick in, we still may not be out of the woods just yet. So we took this question to Canadians.
How worried are you about a third wave of COVID-19?
I would say I'm mildly worried. I guess I am concerned, but I don't know. We're not that good at following rules around here, so it hasn't been too promising. But I mean, we're still getting vaccinated ridiculous amounts right now, so maybe a couple weeks we should be okay. But I don't know. I'm on the fence on that one.
Oh, certainly. There's still lots of COVID virus all throughout the community, so certainly there could be another high wave of it.
Regina's a hotspot for variants of concern right now, and they're easily transmitted. I mean, so I'm concerned about making sure that I'm doing my part of being socially distant, wearing my mask, practicing hygiene, keeping contacts as minimal as possible.
Not overly. I have been reading about Italy and France, and I know they're dealing with their fair share over there, which where our rollout seems to be going pretty good, that we're getting the shots into people's arms, so that's a good thing. So I think the way things are right now, I think we're going to be okay, but I guess you can never say never, right?
Right. No, I don't think I'm worried about it. I'm taking all the precautions I can. I think there were three types of pandemic. I think there was the actual real pandemic initially, and then the fear pandemic, and then it become a stupid pandemic with people, stupid people.
I have children and I have grandchildren, and I think that's something that's really, I am a higher risk category, so I think those are things that we have to really be accountable and be responsible until we know more. So try to exercise the best judgment that you can and try to be as cautious as you can until more is known.
We're worried.
Yes.
Very worried.
A lot of people are not following the protocol. They're just basically doing what they want to do. And yes, I'm afraid at our age.
I just wish they would take it more seriously than they do.
I don't worry about it because there's no point in worrying, but I think we're in one, and I just do what I feel is the right thing for me to do and hope everybody else does that as well.
Well, I guess for me it just means staying at home and doing nothing just for longer. So really I'm not as concerned about it as maybe someone that isn't retired might be concerned about it.
I wasn't worried about the first one. I wasn't worried about the second one. I'm not worried about a third one. There is no wave. I don't deny COVID exists. I do deny that it's anywhere near as bad as anyone makes it out to be.
Well, I think it's quite a concern, yeah, because I think that now that the spring weather has come, there are a lot of people out and about, and we could certainly very well come, into problems with this.
Do you know, I can hardly even think about it. Yeah, I just feel like it's almost more than I can handle at this point. I'm just looking forward to the summer, getting the vaccine, and come what may, we'll deal with it as it comes along, just like we have everything else.
I'm actually worried about it because of the new variants and because of the slow in the vaccine rollout. So I think it's happening, so we just have to keep being cautious and careful just as before.
If I was out in the working world, coming across people all the time, different people, then that might be a little more concerned.
Quite concerned. I was reading this morning, for example, in the United States, the beaches in Florida are packed with students, and they've tagged them Cove idiots. So I saw that. I thought that was quite funny. I'm just hoping that we don't go through something like that in Canada.
I feel like people's concern over the pandemic has really decreased as we've gone through it. And with the introduction of new variants and new waves, it's like the worst possible time. People caring less and COVID's going up, that's probably the worst thing that could happen right now.
You just got to do what you can to stay safe. Wear your mask when you're going into places. Wash your hands as much as you can. Avoid large crowds. But I think we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. So I'm hopeful that it'll come to an end soon.
Definitely terrified for a third wave. What does that third wave entail? I'm not sure. I'm out in the market right now enjoying, a sunshine day, so I'd like to hope that a third wave wouldn't be able to stop that. Restaurants themselves being open, I think, is essential to our economy and keeping that together, and we can do as best as we can as people to keep the economy afloat and keep going. My recommendation would be don't shut down the small businesses that keep our country going and thriving.
I'm slightly worried. There is new variants and stuff, and viruses can easily mutate all the time, so this is a slight bit of worry, but I think as long as people remain the littlest bit vigilant, then I think we can get out of this okay.
Madam?
Yeah, I'm a bit concerned about a third wave, but I like to think that we've learned more as we go each wave, and from this time we'll be able to pick it up and do what's right.
Worried? No. Conscious that it might come? Sure. Have we handled the first, second? Yes, we have, as best we can. If a third comes, we'll handle it. We'll take care of it. We're strong. We're Canadian, and we'll beat it. No question about it.
Thanks for watching this episode of Outburst on the Cable Public Affairs channel. I'm Glenn McGuinness. If you have any comments about this show or any other show, you can find us on social media. You can also find us on our website at www.cpac.ca. It's your turn to speak up, and we're listening.